the amount of questions, DMs, all of that we're getting is really around one of the biggest concerns. What do you need to expect to invest and do business? Because no, it's not easy. And it's not for everyone. But we want to give you the tools so that you can be successful. So that 5 years from now, you're not kicking yourself, wishing you would have taken advantage of this time. Uh-oh. We want to make sure that you are not kicking yourself 5 years from now, wishing you would have taken advantage of this time. So we're bringing you $1 million in value this weekend coming up for the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. And I'm going to have a couple of our speakers today. Welcome to the community. If you're new here, I'm Ashley on our channel, Ashley in Africa. We talk about doing business, moving, living on the continent of Africa, and doing so in a way that's sustainable and successful so that you'll find success. I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm an advocate for entrepreneurship. And my goal is to impact the lives of 10 million Africans through entrepreneurship. And we're starting to do that, hopefully, with the content that we're sharing, as well as the value that we're bringing, not only here on the channel, but in these events like the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. So we are a community of entrepreneurs and investors that are doing business here on the continent or making our way to the continent, right? So welcome. If you're here, go ahead and like the stream. Let me know where you're joining from if you want to be greeted. Hi, Cotty B, welcome. Welcome, like this stream. There's 15 of you guys here, so go ahead and like the stream, jump on in, and be sure to ask questions. So if you have a question, you will write the word question, but we're gonna jump into our content. And I cannot wait to have our first guest here that is gonna talk to you all about her journey of doing business, moving around the continent and having impact long term and what it looks like, to pivot along the way. All right, so I'm going to bring her up because she's going to give you some insight, because my experience is not going to be your experience and everyone's experience is different. But we're going to bring up Nzali Abraham. She's going to talk about her business of She Works Digital. I'm actually a customer of hers. I'm so excited. We're working together. I've hired my first, well, not my first, but my executive assistant, founder of Growth. So a lot of you, not founder, excuse me, head of Growth. She is working with us and I'm so excited to have her. And I'm so excited to welcome Nzali.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon to you. Good morning to some, wherever you are in the world. We're global.
Yes, we are. We are global. Welcome.
Hey, it's good to see you again.
Will you tell us? Uh-oh. Sorry?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Okay.
Let's see if we get that thumbs up. I can hear you. So go ahead, introduce yourself to the people, introduce yourself to the community. Let us know who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon to some and good evening to some. My name is Nzali Abraham. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, but I have been living in Africa over the past 10 years. My first 2 years were in South Africa in Limpopo province. And then after that, I moved to Ghana. So I've been in Ghana the last 8 years, and I have had quite the journey, right? So I started out as an education consultant, school leader, and then I branched into the university setting. I've owned a barbershop, and the last few years I have gone remote, and I'm so happy that I did. And a part of me going remote is starting She Works Digital Africa. And so we are a virtual assistant agency. We help businesses scale to the next level by providing them the support they need at the right cost. I am a Ghana enthusiast. I can't lie. I also am a citizen of Ghana. So I have really, really taken the leap, taken the chance, and I get excited to tell other people about the journey, what to expect. As Ashley has said, everyone's path is different, but the more stories you hear, the more stories you collect, the more informed you are for your own journey that you're going to lead. So I'm excited to talk to you all about that. I see somebody says I'm going to Ghana, Kadi. Well, Akwaba in advance. Can't wait to see you.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you are a Ghana enthusiast. So you're going to be representing Ghana. So at the Investors Virtual Summit, we're going to be covering several countries this year. I'm so excited. We're going to have experts from Ghana, Tanzania, Kenya, Mauritius, and South Africa. And we actually have a surprise for our executive access pass holders because we've got some folks covering like Botswana and mining, and it's going to be fantastic. So we're really excited. So can you, Nzali, tell us, like, how did your Africa journey start?
Okay. So originally I started out as a Peace Corps volunteer. My theory was if they took me for free, I should go back for free. So a mentor of mine was just like, you should try the Peace Corps and see what happens. I was anti-Peace Corps at first, but they convinced me. And so I joined the Peace Corps and I was teaching in rural South Africa. For those of you who are familiar with that country, I was way up north in Limpopo first, in Mpumalanga at first, then I went into Limpopo. So yeah, Majozi, shout out to my people in Majozi, Moteti as well, and in Mpumalanga. And so yeah, I started out teaching, and that's what brought me to Africa. And then they just kind of hooked me from there.
So for people that come, living in South Africa, I see a lot of folks come with the Peace Corps, with different organizations, right? Sponsored by different agencies outside of the country.
Yeah.
Why is it important that people consider doing business and or investing in their long-term sustainability here in Africa? Why is it important?
I feel like the way I came to Africa, it was quite in a box, right? Because with Peace Corps, you can't actually even work anywhere else. So if you wanted to invest while you were there, if they found out, that was an issue. All you could do was the assignments that were assigned by Peace Corps. So you were quite confined. So even though I was there for almost 2 years, I still didn't have the opportunity to really see what was available outside of a social setting. So then when I went to Ghana as an education consultant, totally different experience because I went there with the mind to do business, to make a living for myself. So with that, I was able to meet more people. I was able to have more business-minded conversations. And then that's when you really get to see the full scope of opportunity that's available to you that you can access faster and at a cheaper cost. I feel like while I was in South Africa, I didn't get that experience, which is another part of the reason that I'm going to be making my way back down to South Africa. But when you come in and you're business-minded and that's your first focus, I feel like the floodgates open. It's like parting the Red Sea. You get to see what is really there. And then that's what kind of excites you. Even though I love South Africa, right? I love my experience, the family that I live with, the school that I worked at. I just feel like I was limited in all that I could experience and all that was available to me.
So I think your stream keeps coming in and out, like there's a pause, like a moment pause, and then it comes back. So I'm not sure if it's maybe I'm not really sure what's happening, but we heard your last statement. I can hear you.
Okay, let me exit out of some things. Maybe I got too much going on.
Maybe. We keep all the tabs open. We're doing a lot. Okay, fantastic. But I just wanted to give you a heads up so that maybe we can do something around that. And so when you did open your mind up to the business opportunities, what were some of those? Like, what did you find were maybe some like the most exciting opportunities. And then, of course, you mentioned you're a barbershop owner and now you're doing She Works Digital. What was that pivot like, right? So when you found out these are the biggest opportunities I can get into, and then these are the ones that I'm going to actually take action on. What was that like?
So in Ghana, real estate is a hot one. I'm sure people have also seen it online. You have people like the Earn Your Leisure guys. You have other private investors that are coming. They're building luxury real estate. There hasn't been as much in the affordable real estate sector, so that's a space that's open. That's a big one in Ghana. For me personally, I also feel like that one takes a lot of, you need to be on the ground because in Ghana, you have to watch everything. If you have anything that's a brick and mortar, even with my barbershop, that's something you have to consistently watch, check everything. Like you have to be there. Also in Ghana, mining is an area, but that takes a larger investment, right? So if you're a person that maybe you're middle class income in the States, mining might be a little bit more difficult for you to enter into. So when I started looking at some of those things, I said, what works for me for the lifestyle that I want? I want to relax. I don't want to stress out. I don't want to be arguing with contractors and doing all of those things. Because I had a background in education, that also meant that I had access to a lot of Ghana's young talent. So a lot of fresh graduates from university, not just Ghana, but even other Africans who schooled in Ghana. And so when I started to put the things together, I was like, wait a minute. I do virtual assistant work as like my side thing, but I know all of this really great, highly skilled African talent as well. And so let me just go fully remote. Let me start to connect my worlds. I have a US network, I have African talent. Let's merge the two. And I can sit in my house and do it. So this was something that it took some years for me to get to this point, right? It didn't just happen overnight because again, the projects you see most often are the ones that are physical, right? The brick and mortar style in Ghana specifically. But then I started to think like, well, I'm making money online. Why can't I extend that? And honestly, that has been like the game changer for me because number one, it didn't make me have to sit in Ghana 24/7. My first few years in Ghana, I didn't leave. Right now, I can go everywhere I want to go and my business can still run. I can still have my place in Ghana and I can still do more travel. And that's really the thing that I like to do anyway, the most. I like to get around, I like to travel. But prior to going to a space where it was digital, I literally had to go through my schedule. What's the university schedule? When is the break? And a lot of my travel was attached to my work. And I was like, I did not come to Africa to live that way. And I had to remind myself again, like, I did not come to Africa to recreate my working patterns of the US. And so once that clicked in my head again, I started to move into, making sure that I had a business that wasn't location dependent. And I'm happy that I did that.
Absolutely. That's so important that you say that because I think so many people think that it has to look one way.
Mhm.
I also made that mistake, right? Going into what felt very traditional, like agriculture, right? Okay, Africa
Mhm.
is great for agriculture. I've got to get in the space, I've got to learn the space. Real estate, mining, agriculture, these are capital intensive businesses. You have to have a lot of capital, you have to have strong partners, and you also have to know how the market works. So, yes, you can have strong partners, but you also need to know some things, and of that comes with time. So, if the more time you have, the less capital you need, the more capital you have, the less time you need, but also like it doesn't necessarily mean success either way. And that's one of the reasons why we have this virtual summit so that you can hear other people's perspectives and what to do. So I saw someone, Kadi, in the comments talking about getting an investor for your business. That's very unlikely, especially
Mhm.
if it's an idea. If you aren't executing on that business and you don't have revenue and current customers, your
Yeah.
ability to get investment or funding for that business is very low unless you are tapped into a venture capital community, private equity community, and you've already built businesses along the way, or you are favorable investment candidate, which
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, if you're coming from the US, that requires you to be white and to be male, right? So, or like I said, unless you're tapped into a private equity venture fund, coming with an idea that lacks revenue or customers, you are very unlikely to get investors. So you have people like Nzali that come and create businesses and bootstrap, because that is ultimately going to likely be your strategy, or needs to be your strategy, if you don't have the capital that, you know, is needed to build your business, right? So I just want people to be realistic with those expectations, because I've had that. A lot of people reach out to me, oh, I've got this idea, that idea, I'm looking for investors. Like,
The
you're
people in
bringing
Africa are
value.
also looking for investors. So that's something like, you know, I want to say this in the nicest way possible.
Mhm.
One of the tension points in Ghana in 2025 is becoming foreign people who are also coming looking for investors, the local talent who's also looking for investment in their business ideas, and there's becoming a, you know, a little bit of a rubbing against each other if everybody's trying to pull from the same international pool of money. So as Ashley said, encouraging people to come, but being able to fund, you know, self-fund some of your startup ideas, I think is the best. Number one, because you're not in competition with the local talent who's also trying to do the same thing, right? Or you could even come and just be in support of a business that's already kind of functioning in that space that has local talent. That's another way for you to kind of get in without all the capital investment being solely on you. But just thinking about that is going to be critical. That's why I definitely think that a location independent business is a good starting point for a lot of people as you're still learning this space. And then if you want to go and branch out into something else, by all means, do that. Because I have seen a lot of people come and not be successful in the Ghanaian market trying to do such large projects when you really could have started smaller and built into that space. And to be honest, our Lebanese counterparts who are in Ghana, which are plentiful, that's how they do. They start with something small and then they build, and they've created a network where they buy from themselves as well within the country that really has helped them elevate to the next level. So I just wanted to add
That's a
the
great
two points.
point. That's a great point. Your camera is still doing it. Are you joining with your phone?
Yes, let me go ahead and join it with my phone then.
I think I think I'm gonna pop you out because it's still doing it, and you're saying some gold, like you're dropping gems, and they're missing it. So I want you to try to see, maybe pop
Okay.
out and pop back in, so we can try to
Okay.
see if that works. Okay, fantastic. No, so she was giving it the value, like, start small and then grow. I think that's something that people don't appreciate enough, right? You don't have to come over here and become a real estate developer in your first 5 years. In fact, most people that are successful are not doing that. Most people that you are currently seeing operate their business that have had some level of success have been doing the thing for a long time before they've actually garnered some levels of success. But then you have those that are comfortable putting themselves out there, comfortable showing their failures, and comfortable saying, this is what I've learned from it, and this is why we are doing what we're doing. I'll bring Nzali back up. And one of the things that I love that she's done is essentially taken her expertise, her taking her expertise, solving a problem, identifying a problem that the marketplace has, and creating a digital solution. So there are tons of highly qualified, amazing talent here in Africa, in all of the countries, right? So the continent of Africa is dripping with talent, amazing, credible talent. And the opportunities are not as strong as they are, one, because they've been conditionally educated in a system and a structure that taught them to get jobs, but aren't really set up. The economy isn't set up for that. There aren't as many jobs available. But there are people abroad, all over the world, that are building businesses that need credible, valuable talent. And she has created an avenue for people like me to get access to that type of talent. So Tell me a little bit about She Works Digital and how the innovation of that is something that is very valuable for the market in in Ghana.
So the first part of it is in Ghana, like I said previously, we have a lot of talent. And our talent, our unemployment rate is quite high. And so I was working at a university. Students were graduating every year. They were going into national service. But after national service, I'm getting text messages like, oh, auntie, do you know anything? Do you know anybody? The reason they were asking me is because while they were students, I was always helping to place them with internships. So again, once they finished their national service, which is their year of service to their country, then they were looking at me like, oh, do you know anything else? And because really the market in Ghana, this is why it's important to come creating jobs, not expecting to get a job in Ghana. There really aren't a lot of jobs, especially for those who have digital skills. Right. So those who are computer scientists, computer engineers, the university that I worked at, they have a degree program in artificial intelligence. So those students, their only hope was to, as some of them say, japa, to go abroad. Right. And so as you're going abroad, that costs money. That's an investment. That's, it might work, it might not, all of those extra factors that come into that. So again, there's a lot of us talent in Ghana that didn't have anywhere to go. And then when you start looking at the US side, I have a lot of friends who have small businesses and their systems were out of whack, right? So like you're getting a lot of inquiries in, you're getting a lot of interest, but it's you and one other person or you and 3 other people on your team, and you are renting a co-working space. Right. So you're paying rent for this co-working space for all of your team members to come to, or you are having all your meetings at a coffee house, and because you can't afford to have a stand-in space, but you still need to have those conversations with people. So it was just a lot of me looking at what both sides of the aisle need. Small business owners in the States need to be able to have people to help them set up, function, and run their systems so that their business can flow without a lot of hiccups and without it being centered on one person, right? Even for myself, for my virtual assistant business, at first I was doing everything myself. And I was like, wait a minute, Bing, you have a whole pool of VAs, get a VA, right? And so I'm like, yeah, I should do that. And now, because I was just looking at what was needed on both sides, what I had access to, that's the important thing. What do you already have access to? On one side, I had access to recent graduates. On another side, I knew people who had businesses who needed help setting up systems. Okay, let's bring those two together. So when you're thinking about what you can do, look at what you already have. Who do you know? What is your network? What is your expertise? How does that then pull in talent from the place that you're going? Because that's also a part. When you start looking at getting business visas and all of that, most of those countries are going to want you to invest some way into the local talent pool and then bring them together. Oh, wait, Ashley, we can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
That's true. You can hear me now, yeah?
Yes. Oh, it's still pausing.
It is. It's like just for half of a millisecond, it's pausing.
Oh my goodness.
So I think what you're saying, I know what you're saying is so valuable because again, I think people's perspective is, oh, I've got to be rich to do business. But you've literally figured out a solution to be able to empower the community around you to be able to get access to other economic opportunities. So I say, like, even in my experience with working with you, it's been a beautiful thing because I'm not having to work with someone in the US communicate the value of doing business and investing in Africa, or working with someone from, another competing country that has, a said marketplace of assistants or virtual assistants. It's actually just been a perfect mix. So I want to applaud you. And I want to ask if you can share with the audience, like, what are some of the things you're going to, it says you're still kind of breaking up a little bit. But we'll try to get one more thing. And there are a couple of questions. So if you have some questions, go ahead and put the word question or the letter Q in front of your question so we can come back to it once we finish. But go ahead and, okay, let's just answer this question that Calvin asked. What is the relationship with the rich and the poor in Ghana? Calvin wants to know.
It's similar to the US. I have to be honest. Ghana is a classist type of society. So you do have people who they're in their bubble, right? And then you have people who are working class. But I will say the beautiful thing about Ghana is that you're not destined to a class forever in eternity. Right? It's like if you were born in this space, you have to stay in that space. Ghana is very much so a place where if you can get access to a little bit of capital, you can make something work. And it's also a space where the government is not limiting people in their entrepreneurial endeavors. So if you want to get some shea butter and start selling it, on the corner, somebody will let you go and sell without taxing you on the corner. If you want to get a small little warehouse and start producing, I don't know, coconut oil, the starting cost to do that is low. So you do have the super wealthy. That's for sure. And you have people who have generational wealth. But also at the same time, those who don't still have access to be able to move up in those spaces. And a lot of that does depend on education. So having access to university, Ghana does offer like a lower rate for its public schools, public universities. Not the private ones, but the public ones are at a reasonable rate where people can actually afford it. And the former president did start free senior high school, so more people have access to high school education, which could then lead them into university, which is their biggest equalizer.
What is the biggest equalizer again? Because it paused out for us.
Oh, education in Ghana.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you so much. Let's see. So give us a snapshot of what people can expect to learn from you this weekend at the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. I'm so excited to have you. Since last time you've been bringing so much value, you're a citizen of Ghana now. Tell us what the people can expect to learn and why they need to come see you this weekend for your session during the virtual summit.
Yes, well, as I started off saying, I am a Ghana enthusiast, but again, because I'm talking about location independent businesses, really you can do this from anywhere. So I'm definitely going to be talking to you about the benefit of having a business that is location independent, what that looks like in practicality. So for you, a person who's coming, how you can actually set up, what are some of the top location independent businesses that can function and run in Africa, because we have a lot of different factors when it comes to doing business. So I will definitely be talking about those. I also will talk about the business model. So finding the right location independent business model for you, depending on where you want to locate yourself, whether that be Ghana, going into East Africa, Southern Africa. So we'll talk about that as well. And then also how to build and scale your systems for a remote business, because that's a really, really big part of it. You're online, so your systems and your flows have to be like airtight as much as possible.
So valuable. That's in itself going to be key, because the beauty of that and what you're talking about, Nzali, is that you can start building it now. So you're wherever you are, you can start building your location independent business now, so that when you relocate and you go to establish yourself in your new home country, you're earning income, because that's the number one thing that we talk about, right? So this virtual conference is for people that are ready to invest in themselves and in their new home country. This isn't for you if you're just getting started, you have no idea about entrepreneurship or business, you don't have capital to invest in yourself, right? If you're thinking that you're going to go to a country, seek refuge or asylum, and like everything is going to be given to you at your feet. This is not for you. These are for action takers, innovators, people coming to create solutions for their communities, the people that they serve, and the people that they desire to serve, while also getting yourself in environments where your creativity can flourish. You're in community of like-minded people. You're investing in the development of what is the fastest growing continent in our history, as well as the most populated continent in our history, right? So that's who it's for. And if you are interested in learning, I wish I would have had this type of insight when I was preparing to move, or even when I was like in my first year, because I had to stumble, I had to lose money, I had to lose time. And this is an invaluable resource to learn how to build a location independent business. It's something that I'm doing. It's something that Nzali's doing. It's something that our next speaker is going to come up and talk about. My business partner, friend, and attorney, Ulenda Lebese Cousins. And so we're so excited to have you, Nzali. Thank you for joining us again. Thank you for contributing, and thank you for your commitment to the growth of the continent. It's an honor to be in community with you.
Oh, thank you.
And yes, I'm so happy to have you. And I'm so happy to have you on board with us next weekend.
Oh, yes. So I'm excited to see all of you come on in. Join us. Like I said, I'm 10 years in. That's a decade. That's a long time. So there's so much. I usually am like, oh, what can I say? What can I say? There's 10 years of things to say. So I look forward to seeing you all. As I've said to Ashley before, I feel like there's a group of us that came and we've cleared the fields, right? We had the machete, we've cleared the fields. So now that the field is clear, it's going to be much easier for you to go ahead and build your foundation. So this conference is giving you some foundational gems for you to come in and be able to start at a space, more so than what we had. And so take advantage of that. I did see a comment in here that was asking about, where was it? Someone mentioned greed in Ghana. And so I want to say, I want a lot of our people, we lean on the negative, right? Greed is universal. It is not, it's not something that's specific to Ghanaian people, South African people, American people. It is literally a universal thing. And so when we say building your network, you get to decide who you want to be in community with. If you want to be in community with people in the country that are making money quickly and they're thinking from a space of being greedy, that's what you will interface with. If you are working in a space and you're intentional about the community of people who really want to collaborate, who really want to grow, who want to build, and who have trust within each other, that's what you'll cultivate. So just, when we're coming to these spaces, let's not lean on the negative. Let's look at what has worked. The people who are doing things and it is working for them. Let me lean into that information, like coming to this summit, so that I can get the right tools. Not, I met somebody in a Facebook group and they told me that I can flip my investment in a year, right? And they haven't really told me how. Let's not lead into those, because that's when you're going to run into people who are sitting in what I call like a lower vibration, but you don't have to participate in that. You don't. That's all I wanted to share.
Absolutely. Well said. It's one of those things, and I'm glad you addressed it, because I actually saw it. I just ignored it. But it's because of that, right? It's because we tend to lean into that. If you're going to tell yourself a story, because you're telling yourself a story, it hasn't happened yet. Create a story, make up a story that's going to benefit you. Yeah. Because right? Either way, you're telling yourself something that isn't true. It's not real. It hasn't happened. So you get an opportunity to tell yourself a story that is going to empower you. And on that note, Nzali, I want to, I'm actually going to bring up and I'll make sure to link her information in the description. Go to her channel, subscribe to her channel, see her in motion building She Works Digital Africa. She shares a lot of valuable content. She also covers some of the things that are happening on the continent as well, including the media. That's cool. Yeah,
Can I address one more thing from the Nation of Israel business? The person has asked me, I'm being political, but do I have local liaisons? So I've been in Ghana for 10 years. I have plenty of liaisons, right? Prior to, you meeting me now, I was the manager for diaspora relations for Google Enterprise. If you just search Google Enterprise, if Jeremiah Owusu, who plays for the Cleveland Browns, we brought him to Ghana. When you think about Grammy Africa, my boss at that time, she is the liaison for bringing Grammy Africa to Africa. I've worked at the governmental level with diaspora relations. I've taken, trade missions from Ghana into the Caribbean and vice versa. We've hosted the Prime Minister or Premier of Anguilla, of Barbados, of Bahamas. So yes, there are plenty of liaisons that I have on ground that I know. I just don't always lead with that information, right? I need to know what you want to do.
Correct. So, yeah. And I appreciate you addressing that, Nzali. What we know is what we know. Yeah. And we bring this value to you guys. We don't have to do this. This is one of the things that we're really intentional about because we want people to win and succeed. These type of platforms weren't not happening and weren't available when we were doing this. Nzali is 10 years in, to her point. She is an authority in the space of tourism investment on the ground. She's a citizen of Ghana. And I also think it's important, even for us in this process, for me, because I'm seeing this real time. Our people, we've been through so much. We have issues with trust. We have issues with belief in ourselves. So when we see other people doing a thing that we aspire to do, our first sometimes thing is to question it, right? And it's one of the hesitations that has happened in the business that even I built and am building because I understand us. But just know that we're taking time. For me, every single person that I'm bringing to this community for the virtual summit, I've not done business with them, I've interacted with them over a series of time that they have inspired me in something. So at the very least, they're taking action, they're credible in what they do, and they're supporting the growth for other people. Okay. And so it's fine. You can question, but let's be respectful in the space, right? Let's be respectful. Let's be curious and also come to learn. That's what our community is about. We're sharing resources, we're sharing information, and we're sharing abundance. Because guess what? We live here. Yeah. We live here.
And it's one of those things that you learn as you're here longer, right? Mm-hmm. It kind of starts to melt away. You start to see things for what they are a lot more clear, a lot faster. So I do understand, like you said, the hesitation, people wanting to know. But I always tell people, when you are listening to people that are telling you, this is what I've done, this is how I've done it, and they're not selling you hoop dreams, because I feel like a lot of our people gravitate towards hoop dreams, right? I came to Ghana and I built this factory in 2 years. That's not realistic. So, and I'm telling you that as someone who's been there for 10 years, nothing moves that fast when you're doing something on that scale. It's just not realistic. So you have to really start to look at the people who are like giving you realistic timelines. No, you're not going to put up a factory in a year and have it operational and be making profit, because you're going to have to run into the government, and the government moves slower. So that's why I'm saying do something that's location independent. That's something that you can get moving quickly. Right? But when you start working on some of those other places where you need zoning papers and licensures and all of this stuff, that's where you're running into the bureaucracy in Ghana. That's where your process is going to slow down. That's where you're going to probably have to start dashing out more money than you want to. So start with something that you can do based off the network you have.
Yes.
Then as you're there for a while, you move into some of these more, capital intensive spaces, because people, and by that time you have your own on the ground liaisons.
Yeah. No, I mean, you already gave us a good few $100s in value. So we're not, you have. And I mean, that's the purpose of this virtual summit, to get the insights from other people, because what Nzali's saying is not you're going to hear that repeated over and over from people that are doing it. And she's going to give you a framework on how you can be successful with a location independent business. So then you get more income, and now you have an opportunity to collate your capital, right? You're going to be able to have more income so that you can invest in more projects and more opportunities. And I'm so glad to have you. Thank you again for your time and for your contribution. We can't wait to see you. Be sure to check the description if you're watching the replay to connect with Nzali and all of her social media handles. And you will see her at the executive. If you have executive access pass, you can ask her questions personally. And we'll see you this weekend.
All right, y'all. See you next weekend.
Thanks, Nzali.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so one of the things that's super important that Nzali led into, if you are focused on your values, why are you doing the thing that you're doing? You're going to meet and attract people like that. And this is a testament to our next guest, my friends, my business partner, Ulenda, Lebese cousins, because I know and understand the importance of community and relationships. And business everywhere is about relationships, right? But specifically when you're doing business in a foreign country, one, you need to have an attorney, period, that knows the law, that can protect you in the event that something goes wrong, because 9 times out of 10, things are going to go wrong. And you need someone on your side that you're paying, right? You're paying and you're retaining their service and their expertise. But you're also going to need to build credible relationships. Those relationships will take time. It's, again, one of the reasons why we've created the virtual summit, because you're literally going to bypass years of time, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in probably consultation and retainer fees to get this type of information. But then also you get to be in community of people that want the same thing that you want, okay, that are doing the same thing that you desire to do. And that combination, essentially, how can you not be successful if you get feedback from people that have done the thing? You now have authorities and people that know what they're talking about, that have been doing it, that have been successful. And now you're in a community of people that are going to support your vision. All right. So I definitely want to, give some of you guys some of that feedback, is when you're questioning, okay, what does this look like? What does this look like? Because ultimately you need support. You need advice. You need help. And that's why we created this platform for you. Okay. So I'm going to be stern in my delivery in this, because these are things that we didn't have. We didn't have these type of platforms, and we're doing this to help and support you. So we welcome your questions, but we also want to challenge you to shift your mindset on the goals and the possibilities, because you're subscribed to this channel for a reason, right? You see the transformation that has happened over my life. You see the things that I've been able to achieve and the things that we've been able to do collectively as a community. And we want to support you in that. All right. So now let's shift the energy, bringing on my friend Ulenda. Hi, Ulenda.
Hello, Ashley, and everybody listening.
Welcome.
Can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I can hear you. So I know you were backstage, and this is also happening with you. I wonder if it's my setup.
Is it?
Like, you're pausing. It's like you're having a random pause, and I don't know if it's my setup or what.
Okay, I'm gonna try something else. Let me try another device.
Okay.
And then tell me if you're still getting the same feedback.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna answer some questions. Okay, Child of God asks, Are there any organizations or networks that protect the interests of Black people doing business on the continent? Is that something being considered? So these are the organizations. We're trying to protect your interests by bringing you value, bringing you information and insights from people that have done the thing. Unfortunately, we are a community of people displaced, right? Yes, there are American embassies, there are American business chambers of commerce. And so, yes, there are those things, there are those resources. You want to come in and you want to get connected to those type of resources. But oftentimes our experience as Black Americans is going to look different than the experience of our white counterparts that are doing business and have been doing business in Africa for decades and decades. So we're trying to create that bridge for the communities that we serve, that we saw having the most challenges in making this transition. Okay, I hope that's helpful. And Kadi says, yeah, it's scary to pack up everything and move to a different continent. It's absolutely scary, but what's scarier than that is doing nothing and getting to the end of your life wishing you would have done something different, right? So yes, it is scary, but we do it anyway. And the luck that you have on your side is that you have a community of people that are willing to share their experience, their tips, their framework, and what they've been able to achieve to help you and support you along the way. Okay. Let's see. She's not pausing. Okay, fantastic. Hi, Ulenda. She's
Hello.
back.
Hi. I hope it's better now. I'm doing it from my computer.
Okay, so it's just me. So I think everyone's saying it's fine. It's just me. So that's perfect. Okay. Thank you, loved by y'all. So y'all are telling me y'all didn't see that just now. Okay, so perfect. No worries. Fantastic. Hi, Ulenda. So tell everyone about you. I've already spoken your fabulous graces as usual, but I'd love to reintroduce you to the community. Tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Yeah, okay. So I'm first of all honored to know someone like you, Ashley. You know how much I love you and how much I'm so grateful to have met you. I am your business partner, but I'm also an attorney. So I own a law firm that predominantly specializes in helping people buy property, get property transferred into their names. So we do property law, we do business law. We help a lot of people who are starting businesses, whether they have a business in America, they want to find out if they can use that same business in South Africa and getting the registration process. And also we've recently opened up an immigration department, which is led by the very amazing Jeff, who is helping our clients because we've seen that there is a need for our clients who are normally asking us to help them with businesses or to help them buy property, that they also need those services as they are relocating to the country. So that is what I own, the law firm, but I'm really just passionate about creating simplicities and assisting foreigners who are looking to invest either in business or real estate in South Africa. So we simplify the complications that are involved in the process, by just helping them navigate, comply, and then, we essentially are helping them maximize their returns when they are investing, but most importantly, secure their investments, because, when we do transactions, there's a lot that happens where clients realize, fortunately, before they have signed any contracts, that there's a lot they don't understand that they need to understand. And I think I would like to be known as a very much a proactive lawyer. I don't like to help clients who have already messed up and they need a lawyer to go to court to fight, for things to be made right. I like to be that kind of a lawyer that helps you prevent us having to go to court. Of course, we do get those situations sometimes where clients have messed up. They've signed an offer before they read it and understood the conditions, and now they're losing. And the example I like to make is almost $1 million in tax because they didn't understand what they were doing. And we did help that client, but unfortunately, they didn't get their money back. And so I like to focus my attention on helping clients prevent those situations that can lead to frustration and overwhelm. So that's in a nutshell who I am.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ulenda. The feelings mutual, of course. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those mistakes? So, right, you said you're proactive, you like to help people. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people are making when they come over to South Africa and they attempt to do business or invest? What are some of those most common mistakes you see?
Sure. I'm even going to tell you the actual mistakes that my clients were in the process of making now. All the time, I see people buying property or starting a new business, and they don't know how to navigate the legal landscapes or the landscape, obviously, because they don't know and understand South African law. So I've recently been assisting some clients who actually traveled here with the Real South Africa last year in November. They signed some reservation agreements, planning to buy property. Fortunately for them, even though they signed reservation agreements and paid deposits, that is not an actual agreement of sale. Now, long story short, when time came for them to sign the actual agreement, because the reservation is just saying, I'm making a commitment to buy this property, and you will not sell it to anyone until, I've processed everything that I need to process so I can be the owner of the property. And as we were getting into the review, so they approached me because they needed us to help them with the due diligence. Like I said, under the law firm, we're applying the law. When you come to us and say, Ulenda, please, can you help me with the review of this contract? Is it protecting my interest? That's what we do. And I have a team of attorneys now specializing in property law. You would be working with different attorneys, amazing attorneys who know exactly what to look out for to help protect your interest. And so this client was buying over 5 properties simultaneously, the one who traveled with the Real South Africa. But we were helping people who were buying over 15 properties, in between December and January. And she did everything, and she was ready to sign the contract. After we showed her the implications, she wanted us to make the changes because she realized that some of the clauses were not in her favor after we obviously explained it to her. And we made those changes and everything. But before she could sign, she felt like she wasn't ready to just sign the offer. And that is because she had attended one of my webinars after she had already made a decision to sign the reservation agreement for these units. She watched one of our webinars where we shared about the first step that you have to make sure you go through before buying property in South Africa. And I actually was sharing 7 mistakes preventing foreigners from investing in income generating properties. And in that webinar, fortunately, she attended. She learned that there's something that you must do before you decide to buy property. And that is basically, there's a lot you must do, but it includes market research, financial analysis, and making sure that you understand the tax implications, the structure, like the name you're going to put on the contract is very important, because it's the implications, the negative tax implications, and also legacy creation can get affected. And those consequences are irreversible once you've signed. So she made those mistakes, but just by overlooking that first step. And after attending that webinar, she came back and she said, hey, I realized that I didn't do this. But obviously that's because she came to us after having, found the property, which is perfectly fine if you've done your homework. But yeah, she ended up saying, no, I want to do market analysis, make sure that this is a good investment. And we referred her to one of our realtors under Skyline so they could help her understand, look at the numbers and see if that what she was investing in was actually a good investment according to how we do the calculations. So those are some of the mistakes. But as you can hear, there's tax, there's structure, there's a lot of things. There's currency control regulations that people don't know about. There's opening a bank account. If you sign the offer before you have a bank account opened, you run the risk of being in breach of that same contract you signed, because taking the time to first open a bank account is going to make you non-compliant with the contract. So what we are doing is just helping them avoid all of those mistakes by giving them the step-by-step. Yeah.
It's so important. It's so important because oftentimes people come to the country, they're so excited. they see the currency exchange value, they just kind of get excited and don't know the proper steps. And those things are okay, but it can cost you time and money that you otherwise wouldn't have to spend if you took time to do your market analysis, your due diligence. And I love that, because you've helped me out of several situations, just referring me to accountants here. You know, I have now like my proper bookkeeper and accountant here in South Africa. And these things take time, guys. Like, or again, if you're not going to invest the time, you need to be ready to invest the money. And if you're not going to invest the money, you need to be ready to invest the time. So one of the two is going to happen, right? But we created these type of platforms and these systems and these events so that you can bypass a lot of the bumps in the road and just get to your final destination, which is essentially what everybody wants, which is essentially to be successful and to have an opportunity to earn an income and to grow your business or your portfolio in the one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful country in the world, South Africa. So fantastic. So Ulenda, how has your business around like seeing the trends, right, of real estate and what is happening with the country of South Africa, why has that encouraged you to, you know, essentially build Skyline, create Skyline, and bring on such a talented group of young attorneys to the table? What was the motivation behind that?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think the motivation predominantly has to do with a lot of what you teach the investors, Ashley, that are members in your academy. And, you know, I just saw an opportunity. I, first of all, had those frustrations because South Africa, you know, we have a lot of opportunities for one to do business in a lot of industries. But just like your previous speaker was, you know, mentioning, some of the businesses that you can get into are, require a lot of capital, and you need to have, you know, operations. You need to have all of those things to manage it or run it effectively. But for me, really, what motivated me to start Skyline was the fact that I was already performing the duties of a realtor, attorney realtor, I call it. I had clients. I mean, I remember my first client who was a walk-in, a foreigner who was, you know, touring the waterfront V&A, and she walked in. She was in the process of buying property that was almost 40 million rands, and she came to me as a buyer saying, "Hey, I need your assistance with this. I want to buy this property. I've already signed." And that was the biggest mistake she had made. And the reason why she came to my firm is because the seller was forcing her to sign to continue paying, you know, for something that was not favorable for her. I mean, some of the clauses in the contract were saying you accept that you have stayed in this property before because you've holidayed here, and therefore you accept the property as it is. And of course, she had done that over 2 years ago, so she didn't understand the condition of the property at that time. And so she was concerned by that, and along with many other things. And so she asked me to help her, you know, get out of that contract, alternatively get them to change the clauses in the contract to make sure that it was favorable. But the unfortunate part is she had already signed. But anyway, we helped her. We managed to negotiate and change the terms, because, you know, how they do it she was buying this property in Spain, and how they do it there, it's so weird. You pay the money that you know, for the property directly to the seller. At least that's what happened in that scenario. And the notary that was supposed to transfer the property, because notaries transfer in that country, you know, they wanted her to finalize the payments so that they could transfer the property, but she was not happy with the terms of the contract. And so that's what we had to change. And in the process of her finalizing that, she also wanted to buy another property in the Camps Bay area, Atlantic Seaboard area, which is where I operate. And because I had been assisting her with this transaction, and she was so happy about how I assisted her and eventually got her what she wanted, at the end, she took transfer, those terms are removed. She came to me and she said, "Ulenda, come, please, can you come view this property with me. And it was another agency that had listed the property. But I found myself, because of the value of the property, and I like to specialize in, it's the portfolio is diverse, but at the time, if I have to go for a viewing with a client, it would have to be like, a certain amount upwards. Otherwise, it would be, we would allocate it to one of our team members to handle, very capable team members as well. So I went with her for a viewing, and I gave her all the tips. And when it was time to sign the contract, I reviewed it, and I gave her, basically an analysis of what everything meant, the legal implications, and what was concerning, what we could change. And she, of course, instructed me to go ahead with, removing some of the things that made her uncomfortable. But the most important thing is, in doing that, she was not the first one who had, client who had asked me to do that. And I think clients have this thing of feeling comfortable when they are working with you, and they see that you actually are not just about getting the next transaction and moving on. I genuinely want to help people who are going to be successful. And if they're going to be successful, it's a good reflection on me. So yeah, I was doing that, and I realized that actually I was performing the services of a realtor, except I was getting paid, the fees of an attorney, which is great. I mean, attorneys do quite good here, and I'm sure everywhere in the world. But I believe that if you are doing multiple roles, you're fulfilling multiple tasks, you should be compensated for all of them. And that's where this thing of Skyline Attorney Realtor came about, because I thought, okay, there is a demand, there is a gap here. And for me, I was more interested in the buyers. So under Skyline, we do list sellers' properties and help sellers sell their properties. But predominantly, what my passion is about is helping buyers buy property, with tax and estate plan integration. So I thought, I can help sellers under Skyline sell their properties, and under LC Attorneys, we can help buyers buy properties the right way, because there's no reason why you should actually allow or enable a transaction that you see, this person is not informed, they don't know what they are doing. And that is what sets Skyline apart, is that we are one of the few, or if not only, agency that will give a buyer a welcome pack that shows them this is what you can expect when you are buying, and educates them on what it means to put your name down on an offer. So we share information that they don't ordinarily get from other agencies. And that's because we are attorney realtors. Of course, we know what risks are involved in property transactions, and we try to, even though we may not be representing the buyer in that particular transaction if we've listed the property, but they still have the power and the authority to make a proper and informed decision. So yeah, I think those opportunities are what prompted me to start Skyline Attorney Realtors. And then there are other factors, like property is highly monopolized in South Africa. You have predominantly old white males who own agencies, real estate agencies in South Africa. And I wanted to dominate the space, quite frankly. I thought, why not me? And once you see another Black agency pop up, it's normally an agency that specializes on the outskirts, the areas that are not really lucrative. It's in the locations, in those areas where what you're gonna earn in terms of commission is not really gonna take your business where you want it to go, if you are somebody like me. And so I decided I'm going to target the Atlantic Seaboard, the most lucrative parts of Cape Town. That's where I'm going to dominate. And I don't care who's there, but this is still in Africa, and that's where we operate. And also in Johannesburg, because that's the hub of economic activity. So yeah, there are a lot of factors that led me to start Skyline. But I think the fact that I was already performing the role of a realtor, fast-tracked that process for me. And I was like, I might as well get paid a commission. I'm very much passionate about educating people. I never want somebody to get into a transaction with me assisting them and make unnecessary mistakes or avoidable mistakes. So when you make a mistake, it's because you didn't listen to the advice I gave. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Thank you so much, Ulenda. These are some of the things that people make these mistakes, their tax mistakes, their legal mistakes, their financial mistakes. And so we want you to avoid that. And you avoid that by getting in touch with credible, reputable, trustworthy experts like Ulenda. And I want to just share a little bit about just even our experience and our story, which was, you know, to the last conversation. And the point was, when you have a focus on doing business properly, taking your time, moving with intention, you will attract those people. You don't have to worry about getting scammed and getting around this type of person and that type of person. Yes, will you have mistakes in business? Absolutely. Will people maybe present a certain way that doesn't really pan out, right? But that's why you take your time. You do your due diligence. You watch people, right? And I think what was beautiful with Ulenda and I think Ulenda saw me online on social media, and she likes to say affectionately slid into my DMs, right? And then I got an opportunity to see what she was about. Like, what was she about? That's the beauty of social media now. Yes, some people like to say, oh, it's not real. People put their highlight reels, but you can tell when people are living in alignment. You can just tell. I can tell by how people share, what they share, what's in their caption. And then we also have Google and LinkedIn and these type of things. But it took us some time, right? We had multiple conversations. We had conversations around values, what was important to us. And even still then, we met another time, and it was a few months before we actually engaged in business. And then a full year, I want to say, until we decided, okay, let's establish something together because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Now we're business partners. We're neighbors. Yes. We're like family.
Yes,
We're invested. Yeah, we're invested in each other's growth because we both desire to serve people at the highest level possible. We both desire to help people get access to the most valuable information so that they can bypass roadblocks, so they can bypass barriers, so that they can reach their final destination faster, right? With more insight and with more input. And so this is what I talk about here. Not only do I just talk about it, I move in that, right? Yeah. And you want to say anything about that, Ulenda?
No, everything 100% true. I mean, the way we met and the way everything unfolded, I think it was just effortless. And we also could feel that we were aligned. We didn't need to force anything. And that's what I really appreciate. I think the values are very important. And I can even give an example with a recent client who wanted to buy property. And of course, every time we get an instruction, it's always good. Every business wants to be advancing and, you know, getting multiple transactions and making the fees. But, you know, for me, what makes me proud about the values is when I realize that this person is actually planning to buy this property, thinking it's going to help them get a visa. And, you know, I could have easily let them continue because they said they're happy with the property, they're buying it. But I said, no, actually, this is not going to be a good decision for you. Rather, the things they were saying were misaligned. So they want to come here, they want to get a business visa, buy property. And I was like, no, the way you're going about it and the steps are just not right. And, you know, as much as it would be good for me to help you, I think you are not ready and you don't understand exactly what it is you want to do. So I redirected the person to Jeff and I said, have a consultation and find out exactly if, you know, this thing that you want to do will allow you to get that type of visa. And he ended up finding out that it wasn't going to help him. So he would have lost a lot of money, you know, buying a property. But for me, I could never live with myself letting you get in a transaction that I see is not suitable for you simply because I want to make money. And that's where the values are. So for me, it's also very important when I'm doing business. And that's why I value you so much. And, you know, we always say to each other, Ashley, even if, you know, we have a relationship with each other, and if anything happens in future, let's always promise to give each other an opportunity to hear the other side. Because for me, what attracted me is not so much the things you do with your clients, but it's so much how you do it and who you are as a person and your heart. And I think you cannot lie about who you are. You can say a lot of things that people feel your heart, and they feel your vibe. And I think you have the most genuine vibe ever. And for me, that is way more valuable than than a number of clients I could potentially assist because of that. So that's way more important for me. And I think that's why I know that our partnership is really gonna go places, because that foundation is very important. It will outlast any amount of money we could ever make together. So yeah, I love it. I see us growing very old together, and yeah, just doing our holidays in Tanzania and location independent businesses, because I also learn a lot from you. I see myself as one of your students. As much as I'm a lawyer, yes, I'm qualified. I know how to solve legal problems, and I know how to be a business person because I'm a business lawyer. I know what a business needs to operate and to make profit. I know all of those things, and I'm fortunate because I have a team. But there are some things that you don't know you need until you meet the right people. And I think with you, that's exactly that. Like, healing your nervous system, walking in, you said something to me the other day when we were talking. You said, ease is where it's at. And I'm like, yeah, the life of ease. And we lawyers are used to just being high functioning individuals. We work, how I work, and you know how much you have impacted me, because after I met you, I started changing things. Now I have teams in place, and different people doing different things, so that I can also have time for my family, for my kids. And that's the Ashley effect. You cannot get that anywhere else. So I really appreciate the value you add, and I think it far supersedes the just helping people with their businesses. You don't know, but inadvertently what you are doing is actually building families, because you can find yourself building a business but crashing your marriage, or your children not having time with you and not liking you, but you now a multimillionaire. What purpose does that serve? So for me, I really love the work that you do, and I'm learning a lot from you each and every day, because it's things that I could have never gotten from law school, and I appreciate that. And that's why I think you and I are gonna be in business forever.
Oh, thank you, Linda. So for those of you that don't know you, Linda and I are co-founders of Skyline Attorney Realtors. I've dropped the link in the chat. Skyline Attorney Realtors helps qualified, successful entrepreneurs and investors protect their wealth, acquiring high quality luxury real estate here in South Africa, and doing so tax efficiently, so that long term their wealth is preserved, their taxes are minimized in the most legal way possible, so that they can invest in projects that matter to them. Right. And so that's what we do at Skyline. We've been able to recruit an amazing amount of attorneys, candidate attorneys, helping them to create generational wealth for themselves and their families. And I'm so excited for what the future holds, but also, what can people expect to learn from you this weekend at the Investor Summit? You've already given so much value. Why should someone attend this weekend to learn from you? And what are you going to share with us this weekend? That's something we need to know.
Sure. So I'm going to be sharing from my lawyer's guide for foreigners looking to invest in business or real estate in South Africa. And in this guide, there's really some exciting things, including 13 top mistakes that are keeping foreign investors from investing in income producing, or income generating properties. There's also the difference between buying land versus buying property, because what I've realized through doing the webinars is that some people don't actually know exactly what their options are. So in this guide, I'm literally giving you all your options. I'm telling you about how to become a developer. And also, most people, fortunately, I'm a property lawyer, and I can assure you, being a developer is not something that is the most overwhelming thing. It doesn't have to be you've developed a 12-story building. You can literally just build your own property where there's 2 or more dwellings within 1 yard, meaning an earth. You can literally just build 3 units and have 3 title deeds, from buying land to getting a construction company and building those properties. So those are some of the options, and sometimes that is more profitable than buying something that's ready made. It's not, it depends on a lot of factors, the area, and also it depends on your needs, of course. Like, what do you want? Do you want something that's now, that's gonna happen, or do you want are you happy to wait and then get something that's gonna be like a long-term investment, which will require that you have time and you dedicate the resources initially. So there's quite a lot. And then I also have a topic on long-term letting, short-term letting, and some of the things you need to know, like vetting the tenants. And you may be outsourcing some of the things to run your business. Like if you are investing in property, obviously you would be outsourcing the management of the property, because if you're not in the country, then you need another company to do that for you. But there are things you need to understand. You cannot be having people help you in your business that you don't understand, and that is what this is going to do. And even though the topics are going to be shared, elaborated upon briefly, the nice thing about this guide is it comes with consultations. So some of the topics, there are topics that are carefully selected that will give you access to consult with one of our attorneys. It may not necessarily be me, but it will definitely be a property lawyer that will give you, feedback on some of the things that you need feedback on. And so, yeah, there's quite a number of things that are going to be shared there: buying land, buying property, developing or buying, how to buy rural land as well, for those people who are interested in just having their holiday home built in some rural area where there's nature and everything. There's a lot of options, and so I share all of them: the due diligence, the importance of having that due diligence conducted, and all the steps that need to be followed when you are investing. And also not ignoring people who may want to be investing but not in property. Like, we are in the process of assisting one client who's establishing a restaurant, and you need to understand there what does it take to register a company. In our due diligence packages, and also in our business law packages, we do help our clients actually register their companies. We get it done within a few weeks. With them not being in the country, we are able to help them register their company. So we've helped them buy properties without being here. People who've identified properties they like when they were touring here with the Real South Africa, we helped them buy those properties. Some of them signed the contract, some of them were like, okay, this is not aligned with what I want, but they were able to do that from where they were because we simplified those complexities for them. We helped them with the due diligence. And so I'm going to be sharing more on how we do that and what you need to do so that, you can work with one of our lawyers.
Wonderful. I'm so excited. I'm honored. I love you so much.
I love you too, Ashley.
I love you so much. Thank you for sharing yourself with me and the community on a Sunday. I know how it is, and I appreciate your flexibility. Send the family my love. And you're not going to want to miss Ulenda. She gives so much value. You've already seen there are a couple people in the chat that have worked with her. She gives so much value. Delivers excellence at every turn. To her point, she can make money in many instances and won't do it because she values what she values and doesn't compromise that. And so even, as far as an expert that's going to be delivering, one of the things that we may talk about if we get time is to really talk about how to work in partnership with other people, right? Even with our shared values, our friendship and our feelings for each other, we're constantly valuing each other's time and professionalism through things like this, engagements, contracts, right? Like, those type of conversations, those challenging conversations, we have them. And if we get some time and you can join us, you definitely want to join us, because joint venture partnerships, when you're doing business in a foreign country, is so valuable because it, again, accelerates your growth because there's somebody that is aligned with you that also wants to see you win, and you can collaborate and grow with each other. So it's just honored. It's an honor to be able to share this space with you, do business and do life with you. And guys, she was a huge part of me deciding to relocate to Cape Town.
Yay.
We're going to be doing, so, you know, what you're seeing now is just like the tip of the iceberg for Skyline Attorney Realtors. And I can't wait for you all to get to see that in person this weekend at the virtual summit, but ongoing, because there's so much, we have so many big announcements and so much in store for folks that are interested in investing in one of like the most promising market in Africa for real estate investing. So be sure to join us, and you can contact Ulenda. Her links and everything will be in the description. Of course, she'll be at the virtual summit, so you'll get to ask her questions one-on-one, but go ahead, give her a follow, subscribe to her content, and yeah, support her.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay. See you soon. Wonderful. So thank you all for joining. These are the things that you can expect when doing business and investing, you know, on the continent. I am so glad these ladies were here to tell you, listen, this is not about getting rich quick. This is about doing things with intention, taking your time, doing your due diligence. But there are some industries that you can bypass a lot of the grunt work, right? And that's because we've got experts that are going to share the process with you. Nzali is going to talk to you about how to build a location independent business, how you can do that, how you can start generating income and have the systems in place for you to be successful while building business on the continent of Africa. Ulenda is going to talk about those legal frameworks, property rights, business registration, immigration. She's going to talk all about that, bureaucracy, all of those things. I'm going to share with you my personal investment strategy, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and why I'm doing it. Right. And if you are an executive access holder, you're going to be able to ask us questions, ask the experts questions. We've got experts coming from the real estate market, construction, mining. I'm so excited about that. We're going to be talking a lot about mining because minerals are the future of our sustainability. We need minerals to survive. Everything that we're doing now requires mining. And with Africa being the #1 least explored continent, but we know how rich it is. There's just so much promise there. And we just need to get educated, right? We can no longer be ignorant about mining and how we can do so environmentally responsibly, right, along the way. And of course, the importance of local partnerships and community engagement. We're going to also talk about that, but you've got to see a lot of that already. But I'm just excited to share this with you. This is our 3rd year, the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. It is literally going to be a game changer for our community. With all that's going on in the world right now, this is the best time ever to be alive and to have opportunities to invest in one of the fastest growing markets, the richest continent on the earth, right? One of the fastest growing markets in earth. Economically, we are positioned to just shift our entire generation, shift our entire lineage. And I'm so thrilled to have this community of experts, over 16 speakers, right? Head to the link, africainvestorsacademy.com. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and hear from, let's go ahead and play.
Bageri. Oh, yango
chicken?
No, there's not a chicken.
But you said chicken.
I know. I know. Ugh. Our creative team, she is so amazing. I listened to that video and I'm just like, oh, she's so great. Penelope, it's time to go. But I'm so excited. I want you to join. Let me just give you an opportunity to see the website. You can ask some questions. Let's see, what do I do? Okay, let's share the screen. All right, you guys can see the screen. So go ahead, visit the website, and the link is in the description. You can see the recap from last year. I don't want to play that. We are going to be live in 7-8 different time zones, right? So people from all over the world, we've got experts joining from Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and Mauritius. And I want to encourage you to invest in yourself, right? Invest in this event, in yourself, because the value that you're going to get is thousands of dollars worth and years of value, years of time spent, as well as the replay. So you're going to want to watch this content over and over and over, because repetition is really how we learn. And then you get to ask questions. You get to ask questions to myself and the other speakers. I am so excited to show you our speakers this year. Of course, you met Ulenda. She is going to be leading a couple of sessions, right? Justa Ludwigana, she's my partner in business in Tanzania, an expert in travel to East Africa and even Southern Africa. Tim and Siobhan Ford, founders of Ford's Herbal and Zion Eco Village. They are shifting the game in construction and development in Tanzania. April Ernest, she is my lawyer and legal partner in Tanzania. I told y'all I don't move without attorneys. Natina, she is my personal tax advisor. I've been working with Natina for almost 7 years. So she was my accountant and tax accountant when I was living in the US, making 6 figures. And she is now my accountant living in South Africa, saved me over $10,000 in taxes this year. And she's going to be teaching you how to be tax compliant living abroad and doing business. Hayford, he's the founder of Web Nation Africa. He is also my YouTube coach. So he's going to be talking about the creative space. He's also really deep in Ghana real estate and going to be teaching you how to be and maximize your opportunities. Kia Wakesho Simmons, she's the founder of Traverse Culture in Kenya. And she specializes in regenerative travel to Kenya and medical tourism. So I'm so excited to have her. We've got Gina Ifoe, also known as the African superstar. So excited to hear from her. She's a content creator, diaspora ambassador, and an international artist. So excited to have her. Harold and Tiffany Garside of Journey with Us. They are international real estate agents and investors. So they're going to be talking about real estate, investing, freelancing. Jabulile, she is a mining and development expert here in South Africa, Lesotho and Botswana. She's going to be talking about mining opportunities here in South Africa. Okay, this is major. Mining for us is something we need to know. We need to be very familiar with the industry. Nzali, you saw her earlier today. She's going to be talking about, as she mentioned, building a location independent business. She's also the former manager of the Guba Diaspora Network. So she's on the ground. She's been living on the continent for over 10 years, and she's going to bring her breadth of information. Of course, the Blantons, Mark and Dr. Latasha Blanton are going to be talking about the industries of tourism and how they've been successful and why you can also develop a tourism business, how to do so. And Taryn Gill, last but not least, this is a powerhouse woman manufacturing. She's built million rand brands here in South Africa, and now is mentoring other entrepreneurs so that they can have the same success. I use her products. Okay. The Perfect Hair is one of my favorite products in South Africa. When you guys see my hair curly, you're like, oh my gosh, these are her products made in South Africa by a South African woman, Taryn Gill, and she's going to be talking about manufacturing. Okay. And these are some of our past speakers that we've had. You have questions, you definitely want to get access to the replays from last year, but this is it. And we want you there. This is going to be a game changer for you. You've ever had an interest in developing a business and investing. You want to do your due diligence, get information from experts. We've laid it out for you. There is no excuse, right? There's no excuse. 2025 is the year of transformation. And if you're serious about taking action and building generational wealth for yourself and your family, you definitely want to be doing that in an environment that is growing, in an economy that is growing, in a space where you are seeing economic growth. And if that isn't in Africa and it's in Asia, or it's in, the southern part, the world south, for sure, you want to join us next weekend, March 14th through the 16th. We're kicking off Friday. And as an executive access holder, you will get access to the replay. So no worries about making it. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, we want to see you there because we want you to ask your questions, but you can also make sure you have access to those replays by getting your executive access pass, guys. Okay. So this has been fantastic. I've got to go because baby girl needs to eat. She had a late lunch, so I'm going to make her something before she goes to bed. But until the next time, guys, I cannot wait to see you this Friday online.
Bye.
For the virtual summit. Until the next video, guys, I'll see you soon.
Bye. See you later.
Mwah.